Welcome to Horsebytes, your go-to source for keeping up with the show jumping world. Now that the Olympic athletes are selected, we move on to final preparations for those participating. And for those who missed out, they look forward to the rest of the summer and refocusing on the next big events. And that means last week we saw the 5-star Nations Cup in Falsterbo, as well as 4-stars in Chantilly, Valkenswaard, and A Coruña. And continuing with our Olympic run-up, we had a discussion with the EquiRatings team about the top horses heading to Paris and what their chances of success might be. And since we all know none of this sport would be possible without the huge support staff that keeps our furry friends beautifully taken care of, we had a chat with Martin Fuchs' top showgroom, Sean Vard, about the lead-up to the games. But first, why not give your horse the advantage with Equijet? Equine transport options can be overwhelming. Get yourself an equine travel agent that does it all with Equijet. They take care of everything from documentation to pre- and post-export quarantine to airport handling to transport to and from the airport to handling and shipping of additional equipment, even your dog or cat. Equijet is your leading horse travel expert because they know sport horses. And with Equijet, you'll get the best care for all of your horse's needs from actual horse people. Make sure to get the Equijet Advantage. But now, let's get back to the action and take a look at our newly crowned winners from last week.
The only 5-star competition of the week in Falsterbo saw Sandra Alfart and Quirici H take the win as one of only 2 double clear rounds, while earlier in the week we saw a home win for Sweden in the Nations Cup over Germany and Ireland. The rainy CSI 4-star in Chantilly saw the wonderful combination of Brazil's Luciana Locio and Lady Louise Men best of field of 5 in the jump-off, with last week's €1.5 million Monaco Grand Prix winner Ines Jolie finishing in 4th. Holland finally saw some sun for the 4-star in Valkenswaard, where many riders made their final competition preparations for the Olympics, with Saudi's Khaled Al Malti and Jaguar King WD winning the Meter 55 Grand Prix ahead of Jana Friedrich Meyer-Zimmermann and Rodrigo Pessoa. And finally, the 4-star in A Coruña, Spain, almost had a Spanish winner, but Diego Ramos Manero had to settle for the runner-up spot as Victor Bettendorf and the young French mare Foxy de la Roque snuck ahead of them for the win.
Welcome to Showstopper, powered by EquiRatings. This week, we are finally going to meet the guys and girls behind the numbers as they give us a rundown of the top horses coming into the Olympics. Not only do they collect the stats, but they have some strong opinions of their own about who's on form, who's looking shaky, and who has the best chances of winning big come the games.
What makes the Olympics so spectacular is that it's going to be who peaks on that day.
The all-stars in our sport have a much bigger chance of losing than they do of winning.
We're seeing the Germans go to Paris with teams that don't even have Mark Senning or Daniel Deuter.
19 different countries have won team medals at major championships and Ireland aren't one. And that's a freak stat. Like, that's not normal. It's not real.
Well, I think we can't talk about Olympics, especially these Olympics, without talking about the Swedish team.
I think Sweden on paper seems really strong in their track record.
The French are at home. The French are going to build a big forward track, and the French are very likely to know more about that track in a home Olympics.
That's the kind of pressure that the Olympics puts on people. You see athletes crumble or you see them really rise above.
Well, they certainly know their stats, and it's always fascinating to take a holistic view of our equine athletes so we can better understand each horse's circumstances coming into a championship. Now, I'm curious to see if their predictions hold up, but we'll know in just a few short weeks. And make sure to stay tuned to Horsebytes for further analysis as we get closer to the games. Hey guys, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and ring the bell to stay up to date with all the new content. And if you're loving Horsebytes, share it with your friends and help us create a community around the best our sport has to offer. This week on Weekly Wonder, we sat down with one of the sport's most decorated and experienced showgrooms, Sean Vard. Sean has taken care of Martin Fuchs' best horses over the years, from Clooney to Connor to Chaplin and now Leone Jei, who is certainly tapped as an individual medal hopeful for the Paris Games. We caught up with Sean while he's on the road to hear some insight about taking care of an Olympic athlete and what the games are like for the athlete teams involved. Have a listen to what he had to say.
Martin makes plans anyway very long in advance for each individual horse to peak at the right moments. So yeah, I mean, nothing really changed, but we're happy with how our plans went so far. We look after every horse in our barn the exact same. From the client's horses to Leone, okay, we stress a lot more about Leone than other horses, but every horse gets the same treatment. And okay, granted, when someone has a few minutes of extra free time, it's going to be Leone his first choice to go for the extra hang grass. We're such a natural stable that we do the absolute bare minimal. We don't really have osteopaths and physiotherapists in our barn. We're very old school. We treat it the same as every other show. Otherwise, it becomes too much of a thing, and the downfall is harder when you build it up too much. So, I mean, we treat every horse the same, and the treatments stay the same, and this is quite cool. Leone is he's super kind guy. He's always looking for attention, always needy, never negative, always wants to do his best with everything. With hand walking, he's power walking around, going to the field, he's pulling you to the field, to the walker, out of the walker, into the truck. He'll load himself from his stall. He's just such a positive horse, and it's very unique actually to find a horse so positive and always wanting to do his best in everything. So actually, in the last few weeks, we've been taking him in the evenings again. You know, when all the other horses are brushed and finished for the afternoon, we take Leone again for a hack, and he loves the hack. So it's more for his head than his fitness, if anything. You know, he's in such a good mental place right now, fitness-wise also, but mental place. He's in such a strong mental place now. He thinks he can do anything, and that's how you need him to be. We also do, I'm sure you know, we do a lot of different exercises with the horses at home. Like we do a lot of hacking on hard surface, we do soft surface, we do forestry work, we do hill climbing. So they're always on different surfaces, and I think this is crucial for the horses. At home, we don't tend to ice so much. They're very healthy horses, so we don't overdo it. We like to save the cooling effects and the icing effects for after the effort, and then at home they stand natural and we can monitor everything and see how they are. Tokyo was very basic but very practical. We had accommodation on site. It was like a little mega budget hotel. We have everything we need. We have our catering, we have our furnished facilities, everything is there on site near the stables. So this is great. And yeah, we feel a huge part of it. We feel not just a part of our teams, like my team Fuchs team, but we feel also a huge part of the Swiss team. It's really special, you know. We get invited to the Olympic Village, and we get to, hopefully we can get trying to sneak some tickets for other events when we have quiet period. It's a cool thing. I mean, how many sports is there in the games that people like myself? I'm not an athlete, as you can see. I'm clearly not an athlete. I'm drinking Red Bull here at 10 o'clock in the morning. How many people can go to the Olympics as such a key member of support staff and just experience the whole thing? I mean, I think it's incredible. Any other sport, you got athletes, you got their personal trainers. There's no real support staff. I mean, you don't really. I think it's just cool. So what is it? It's like the Olympic policy where you're not allowed to display personal sponsors or branding. The tendon boots, we have to put black tape over the varieties, and the bridle, if the logo on the bridle on the brow band is too big, you have to cover it up. I think Martin even had a customized helmet the last Olympics, because normally, okay, this is with the old sponsor it was in the front and in the back, but apparently it was 3 millimeters too big, or the lettering was too bold and too obvious. So there was a customized helmet made for this as well.
The groom's life is tough work, but as you can tell, it's a real passion for Sean, and knowing what goes into such high-level care and attention to detail, we know Team Fuchs contributes a large part of their success to the dedication and support people like Sean give. That's a wrap on this week's top highlights, but before you go, check out Falsterbo's greatest jumping athletes. Stay tuned to all of our socials. Make sure to subscribe and follow along all the action as it unfolds here on Horse Bytes, your go-to source for keeping up with the show jumping world.